This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It's a rare Sunday show. Sunday. Oh, we got Memorial Day on Monday. Hope everyone's out going to be barbecuing and celebrating. And remember what Memorial Day is all about. Wanted to talk about the New York Giants defense because you know what? Someone asked us on the stream yesterday. They said, Tim, and that's what people say to me when they ask me a question, what's going to be the strength of this Giants team? Is it going to be the offensive line? Is it going to be the wide receivers? Is it going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be the running back? Is it going to be the cornerbacks? Is it going to be the linebackers or the defensive ends or the defensive edges? And I've said this easily, and I've said it once time before. If you want to pick out a strength of this team, it's not going to be a single unit in regards to a position. It's going to be in regards to either the entire offense or the entire defense. There's not going to be, and what I mean by that is a strength of a singular unit does not create a cohesiveness for an entire team. What you need and what you are going to need is for one of the other to step up, either the entire offense or the entire defense. And the only way that is going to become possible is if the units together, the linebackers, the linebackers, the cornerbacks, the safeties, the defensive line, all work together and not placing a label as in, okay, the corners are the strength of this team or the linebackers are the strength of this team. It's going to have to be a cohesiveness. And I think if you look at the Giants roster and the way it's construed right at this point in time, that cohesiveness is going to come from the defense, or we hope the defense is going to be the cohesiveness. Now, I find it interesting because we have talked about this on multitudes of occasions, that Kayvon Thibodeaux and Azeez Ojulari are not going to be defensive ends in this system. They're going to be linebackers. And the other day I saw an article or an interview, I should say, with Dean Wilkins, who is the outside linebacker coach for the Giants. And he has been working extensively with both Kayvon Thibodeaux and Ojulari. He worked with Martindale back. He's part of the staff over in Baltimore as well. So he came over. So it was interesting to hear that on Thursday, Wink actually referenced Wilkins' judgment when asked about the edge defenders such as Kayvon Thibodeaux at number 5. He actually deferred over to what his judgment was. And to me, that is a big and that is an interesting cog to this entire process. And he said he was Drew's number one guy, Kayvon Thibodeaux, that is. And this is coming from Martindale. Drew Wilkins, the outside linebacker coach, and he was my number one guy coming out of the process as Martindale. So that's what you have to look at. We are building a cohesiveness here. And we have guys now in place, hopefully on the defensive staff, that understand the fit. And then Wilkerson came out and said he was such a great fit for us in Wink's defense, talking about Thibodeaux. If Wink were to just create an outside linebacker in a lab, it would be Kayvon Thibodeaux, says Wilkins. He's got all the skill sets that we look for. He can be a dominant edge setter, an explosive, violent, relentless pass rusher. Then anything else you see that requires in the package, really all those things combined into one is just good for us. And I think that's funny. And I think it's interesting because then Wilkinson kind of downplays all the outside concerns they had of Thibodeaux off the field. And he basically said, the brand I saw was hardworking, humble, dominant football player. That was the brand we recognize here at the Giants, and that would fit us, Wilkerson said. With that, he's got a great personality, a magnetic personality, like a lot of our guys. Ward's the same way. We've got a lot of big personalities in our outside linebacker room. We want that. We want you to bring your whole self into the meeting room, and it's fun watching all these guys blend together. They're all working for a common goal with different types of personalities. Boy, that was a long comment to read. So basically what they're saying is our old buddy Kayvon was built in a lab specifically to play outside linebacker for the Winker. And then he talks about Azeez Ojulari. And he praised him throughout this entire process. Anytime you add now he's talking about when how Mr. Ojulari added 10 pounds of muscle, and he was walking around with a long sleeve shirt with his newly developed body like me. He goes, anytime you add lean muscle mass like that, it just makes you a bigger, stronger, better football player. This is what Wilkinson's saying. Right now, he's moving around really well. He's put on the right type of weight. If it looks like that, I don't know. Wait, what did he say? Wait, if I look like that, I don't know if I would ever be wearing a shirt. I always joke about saying that as well. But you have to see what I'm talking about here and what I'm feeling about here. They are not trying. And like I said, I don't know if this is going to go through the entire season, but they are not trying to stifle players on this team. They are not trying to fit them in a box and say, okay, these are the players and these are the ways you have to act on this team. They're not doing that. And you could see this now by what Wilkinson is saying, what the Winker is saying at the same time. But this is what they're talking about. They're talking about building a defense. I love when he talks about Ward. They say he's a Broad Street bully for us from Philadelphia. He's the guy you put out there when we were with him in Baltimore. He was going to beat up whoever was on the edge. He's going to knock it back. He's a game wrecker out there. He can kick inside on third down and be a versatile inside rusher. The versatility just sprints is what he brings. He's just a player with such a high level of energy. He sets the pace for the rest of the room and the rest of the defense. I love it because, that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to talk about. You want to talk about these players maintaining their individuality. Thank you. You want to hear them talk about that. But then you also want to turn around and understand that they do need to be a part of a unit. And I'm not talking about separate units. I'm not talking about, like I said, I'm not talking about the safeties, the corners, the linebackers, and the defensive line as separate units. I'm talking about it being one cohesive unit on the defense. Because you are only as strong as your weakest link. And what you need to do is you need to have a coach in place, such as Wink, who understands you don't stifle someone from being themselves to try to fit them into something that you want to do. You try to find the right place for them and make a spot for them in your system. And I think that's the way this defense is being pushed forward. And I think that's the way it's being pushed too. But like I said, I just want everyone to understand that, that Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeaux are good. They're already listed as linebackers. They're already listed as the outside linebackers. They're not going to be defensive ends in this system. And you also have to take a look at Adoree Jackson, because right now Adoree Jackson, they're saying, is already embracing the role of being the lead corner. He's taking over that James Bradbury opportunity. He said it's just an opportunity for us as individuals to do what we have to do and step up and play and go play and do something for ourselves. Jackson said of the message to his teammate when he was speaking to his teammates. And that's what he's saying. Go out there and do what you can to compete and make it hard for them do what they want them to compete and make it hard for them to get rid of you, is basically what he's saying. And go out there as, like I said, as an individual and play your best, but you play it as a unit. And he says confidence comes with the mentally and physically being prepared. So no matter what the situation is, no matter what the task is, you go out there and you're confident in your prep and mentally being prepared for what you're needing to do. The sky's the limit at the end of the day if it's all on you. And you got to like that. You have to like that mindset that he is developing and saying, you know what, I'm going to be the lead guy. I'm going to be the top tier corner. I'm going to move forward. Because when you playing in Wink's system, he puts a lot on the corners, and he plays a very aggressive man style defense, and it's going to be a huge departure from what we did with Patrick Graham and the zone defense stuff. Sorry, it's going to be a huge departure. So these guys are going to have to step up, like I said, not only as individuals but step up as a unit. And I think this is all going towards the right direction. And I think a coach like Wink is going to turn around and make this defense something special. It may not be this year. It may not be to the middle of next year, but he's going to get the right guys to fit into his unit who are going to have their own personality individually, but work as a continuum and work as a unit, not just as a positional unit, but as an entire defensive unit. It reminds me a little bit of Belichick. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you subscribe, you can ring that bell, that'd be awesome.